For this episode of The Making of a Broker Dealer, we wanted to highlight how our firm reacted to the quarantine and to most of our people now working remote. The office here is still a little bit sparse. We are bringing back people next week. But for this episode, I sat down with Melissa Lohner, our Chief Compliance Officer, to get her take on how our compliance team had to respond to kind of a new way of working. We spoke with Jordan Slack, our Director of Technology, to see how his team helped our entire company equip ourselves to working remote. And we spoke to Ned Van Riper, our Director of Recruiting, to get his take on how the conversations with prospective advisors have been going and how we kind of had to do some things differently now that we couldn't fly advisors in and meet with them in person. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
What's been the biggest adjustment for your department from your perspective in response to this whole situation?
I think the biggest adjustment was really at the onset. So when this first started happening, we realized how many people didn't have laptop computers. And while that was something we were moving towards, we still had quite a few who had desktops. So getting people set up with a new computer or a loaner computer, getting the new systems on it, get those downloaded, and just getting the overall functionality of everything working was probably our biggest hurdle. But I think the IFP technology team and then my team worked great together to get that done with just in a couple of days. So I don't think that anyone really noticed any delay in work.
Over the past several years, we've kind of slowly been migrating more and more of our employees to be laptop-based anyways. It helps with collaborative efforts in the office and contingency in BCP-like situations. So whether we were aware of it or not, we were already going down the path of being prepared for a situation like this. That said, there were still a few things that we had to figure out on the fly, and our IT team came together and helped make sure everyone had what they needed in pretty short order.
Email has always been a huge tool for us, of course, but there's been more email and there's been a lot more after hours and pre-market hours phone calls with advisors than I think I've ever had before in my life. Advisors are spending their time again focused on their business and serving their clients. But we've been doing some video calls with advisors. We call them virtual office visits, which are going to be either to complement or replace traditional home office visits. In fact, we just had one not a few weeks ago, and it was so successful not only from a technology perspective, but from an efficiency perspective that the advisor has officially committed to joining IFP.